everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Unglamorous Truths, a podcast where we talk about making it come hell or high water. I'm Amebe.
I'm Crystal.
I'm Chandra.
And today we have another special guest.
She's so special. She's so special. She's so special.
You've seen her on JETT. You've seen her in Shaft. You've heard her in pretty much every commercial known to man.
Commercial queen.
The commercial queen, and also our bestie, Chivonne Michelle.
Hey. I'm going to need to record that for life when I wake up in the morning.
You know,
The fourth downtown girl.
Okay, like we talk about her and you're like, bitch, what was this person y'all just be talking about? Her, okay? Thank you for joining us today, and I want to kick it off with a question. Was making friends easy for you as a kid?
Oh my.
You had a visceral reaction.
Military brat. I made new friends every year and a half.
Triggered.
Until I was forever. Like, I feel like that's just the skill that I've been forced to have, which is why I got into acting, because I'm a chameleon, people pleaser. And then at some point was like, oh, I'm this version of annoying. And people were like, yes, we like that. So that was delightful. But I feel like I'm forced to make friends. So yes, I'm good at it, but it's a learned skill.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I already had like a built-in like network of friends from my parents. Like my friends were the kids of their friends, and being a child of immigrants, like there's just like a community of immigrants. So I grew up with a bunch of kids who are pretty much like family to me. But when it came to like going to school, that was always kind of tricky, especially with the socializing, because it's like I can't come to your house and you really can't come to my house, because that's just not like, it's a liability thing. My parents are not having kids over like if they don't know them and they don't know their parents. So there was always like summer break was always just kind of like the end of a relationship, and then I come back in September and it's like, hey, good to see you again.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That kills some momentum.
Right. And also like, even though I went to neighborhood schools, like I maybe only saw a couple of them, and the other ones, like, I don't know how we never saw each other.
Right.
Y'all didn't live on my block. Like,
I was about to say, you're a kid, so you're really just not leaving your block specifically.
Right.
Because I had kids I went to grammar school with that lived like 3 blocks away. I knew where they lived, but I didn't see them over the summer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you live 3 blocks away. I'm right here. I'm on Honorary with it. If you ain't on this block, I don't see you. I won't say I wasn't bad at it, per se, but you know, I was shy. So making friends was never the easiest thing for me, because I'm not the child that's gonna walk up to you and be like, hey, do you want to play? I'm not that kid. I'm the kid you have to walk up to me and be like, hey, do you want to play? It would be easier when my brother was around, because he'll talk to anybody. You know, my brother, he can talk to a shoe, you know, like, and just and the shoe will fall in love with him. You know, that's just who he is. And so, I mean, it was easier. You know, he would wrangle people for us to, you know, play with. But I didn't talk to grown people. That was me as a kid. I didn't talk to the adults or whatever.
It was fairly easy, and I think the reason why was because I was the only girl out of like about 13 male cousins and my brother.
Oh, wow.
So I grew up like a boy, like, and we just rough and tumbled and fucking play video games and this and that. And I do think that gave me a certain level of not giving a fuck, because boys don't give a fuck. So there was no girly energy as a young girl. It was literally just like me and my brother fucking around. Like, we were just having fun all day long. Like, just, so it made it very comfortable for me to make friends, because I just felt confident in that way. So in elementary school, I definitely was like, what we doing? Like, you know, I was ringleader gang. Like, what are we doing? Like, I remember singing Free Willy and rallying the entire class to pick up the trash in the in the field, because I wanted
Crystal
to save
Boy
the
for
whales.
president.
Yeah,
truly.
exactly. Yeah, and so yeah, that was fairly easy as a kid. And yeah, social stuff got weird later.
But you know what was also good about those block friends is, like, you don't really have to, at least for me, like, I didn't have to make them, because I was born on that block.
Yeah.
And so there was never a time without them.
Yeah.
And we was all different ages, but it was like they were just always
Immediately gang.
there. Yeah. Like, we were just together.
I think that's so like in theme with this episode of like sisters in the trenches. We were each other's safety net. from like the moment that we met and continue on as we traversed through this industry. I think I'm the only one that I grew up with sisters, but like you have sisters, but you didn't grow up with them, and y'all don't have sisters. So it was kind of an interesting journey of us learning each other and choosing each other. And I think that is the most special aspect of it all, that we choose each other and we continue to choose each other even when things get tough and even when life leads us in completely different directions. Because that is what happens.
Yeah. I mean, I think because I didn't grow up with sisters, I'm a girl's girl. You know, like I always have been. Like I'm not one of them girls who was like, I don't like women. I never been. Like I've always had a tight girl gang, you know, like because I always wanted a sister. But the gag was I wanted an older sister really bad. And my mom told me that was not feasible. There was no way for her to go back in time. That we were going to have to adopt. Then you know she had enough kids on her own already. You know my parents had enough. So, but no, I was like I've always been the type to actively look for sisterhoods. Like they, you know, are important to me. I'll seek them. You know, I won't come up to you, but I was sending out my energy to you that you know. See, that's how I got you to come up to me at the Chick-fil-A. Yes. I called
Jedi
you.
mind.
I summoned you.
This is very true.
That's actually a question I have. First impressions. Like, I remember that Chivonne, I saw you for the first time and I thought you were a full-blown grown-ass woman because you were working at the front desk at Weinstein.
Yes,
and I was like, oh, that's an adult. Like, you know, I did not know you went to school with us. And then at some point we got to talking because I was like, she's so friendly. I fuck with her. And then you were like, yeah, I'm here as a freshman. And I was like, what? Like, I remember being like, bitch, you got a full-time job. Like, do you go out to eat?
I had a similar experience to Crystal. I saw an adult behind that desk. My first really image of her is her eating lunch at Downstein with her boyfriend.
Oh my God,
and he was so attractive. I was like, I know this boy does not go to this school. And he was like a real, like, off the block boy. I said, he does not go to this school. She imported that one. I don't know where she found that.
Absolutely.
Yes, I knew that. I knew. I'm like, No. I said, okay, I see this girl.
Yeah.
Okay. She's a hot girl. Look at her.
Yeah, and I came up to your table and I'm like, hey, like, you eat chicken, I eat chicken. Like, let's eat chicken together, girl. And we did. Crystal, I met Welcome Week, actually. She's the first person I met at a multicultural event. Because I was so anxious coming to this school. Like, I knew nobody. And I had already had experience going to, like, a big art summer program. And I'm like, I need to make my friends fast. I need to meet people. I need to at least know somebody. So like I was on Facebook before we started and was like joining every class of 06 group, trying to meet people, trying to find people that were in ETW, because I'm like, I just need something, because I'm not like, I was so afraid of being alone. And so Welcome Week, I jam-packed my schedule. I was like, I'm going to all these things. I'm going to make a friend. And I saw her and I'm like, oh my God, black girl. You black, I'm black. Let's be black together. No, actually, I was like, oh, mixed girl. But she very clearly corrected me. And she said, no, I'm black. But I'm like, but you black and you white. And she's like, that's not how the world works.
Right.
And and that's not how I work.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm black. And ever since I was like, okay, boom, she black.
It was you, me, and Lydia Ward.
Yes.
I remember that.
Oh, Lydia.
Yes.
Hey, Lydia. If you're out there.
And then she brought me to your birthday, and I was like,
that was that hookah.
She real grown. This girl. No, it was bulgogi.
Yeah, but I say it was bulgogi. I wasn't there, but I know it was bulgogi.
And I was like, this girl be eating things Korean that I ain't never heard.
I mean, the girl went to high school in South Korea, so what I thought was normal was different.
Blew my mind. I was like, this is so good. It kind of tastes like cheesesteak, but different. Because of just how tender the meat was.
Yes. Oh, wow.
And she still does.
And then how did the four of us connect for the first
I know that I came in last. For sure.
Yeah.
But it was by the end of the freshman year that we all had met each other.
It took a while because there was like I think the event that kind of solidified the friendship, we went to like a GQ party all together.
Definitely my birthday, sophomore year, November 07.
Yes.
We were all friends.
Yes, because, but that was kind of a kickoff though, because I remember you invited me to come help you shop for your dress, and we walked around. I remember we ran into Zosha and I was like, oh my gosh, she knows Zosha. she was like a star to me at that time.
Yeah, I remember being starstruck by her.
Yeah, but that was like I remember going home that day and being like, oh, I think we're gonna be friends. Like I think she's my friend.
I remember when you guys came to one of my volleyball games and it like touched me because no one ever did that who was like an actor friend or like an outside of volleyball friend.
Yeah.
And that was like, oh, I have friends.
Yeah,
Like, they actually care. It was very fun because those games were very whack.
But yeah, so we certainly were each other's rocks in New York City. And I do think it was really important coming to LA to have a tribe. Because, you know, you and I came first and we had each other. But when y'all came, we literally gave you like zip codes of like, this is the parameter.
Legit. This is where y'all should live.
Drop the zip. Yeah.
And mainly because like LA is humongous, and so you fuck around and you move to Inglewood, you might as well stay your ass in Brooklyn because I'm never going to see you.
This is very
And
true.
you really want to be my friend, you must live in the Valley. So these are the neighborhoods. Happy hunting.
Right. Yeah.
In going through the industry and like the auditions of it all, we were really there for each other. I feel like in one, helping each other like tape, helping each other rehearse, and being each other's kind of therapists whenever any one person would be like, you know what, I don't know if this is for me. Like, I'm going to just go back to school. You had a period, like, I'm going to just go back to school. And it was like,
A period?
three
Girl,
of us.
every 6 months to a year and a half, I've quit.
Yes.
Let's be very real. I quit all the time.
We had a chair. So Chivonne had a chair in her room when we lived together as roommates when we were first in LA.
The
The green chair, yes. And we literally had that was the therapist chair. So when it was time and someone needed to discuss something, we'd say, all right, sit down in the chair and we gonna chat, okay? And yes, whether that was career, then there was the season where we were full on bachelorettes at the same time, so it was discussing the men's.
Oh, when we had the petty patio.
Yes, there was
was
lots
my
of eras. Lots of eras.
that.
Yeah,
yeah.
we were allowed to go out there and be petty as we wanted, angry as we wanted,
And then leave it
That's-
outside.
And then leave it outside in the veg pad.
That's cute.
Yeah, we were young living together. We weren't thinking of we were trying to survive and lay down roots for others. So sorry, we were just too much in the trenches.
No.
But I think even in terms of the career, this was also a learning ground, right? Because I feel like we would help each other get jobs.
Yes.
You know, help each other get internships, like, and we're just really, really good about giving any type of information learned to each other. It was like, well, you know what,
Forwarding
bitch, don't even worry. Yeah, you don't got to take this class. I took it. This is what they said. Definitely. Oh my God, I think you should be going in for this. I think it's crazy you're not going in for this. It's bananas. You know, definitely Chivonne was obviously for all of us integral in the beginning, just in learning how to get an agent.
I was freelancing with 3 different agencies at the same time.
Can you tell people what your trick was to get an agent at that time?
Interning. I would I would just go and intern at agencies and volunteer my butt away for college credit, of course, as one must. But then actually I ended up staying on back when Abrams was Abrams. I stayed on past the length of my internship because I was just such a hustler and I liked the people I was working with. I also interned at my acting school, Atlantic Theater Company, and that's how I ended up teaching and figuring out that that was a wonderful complement to auditioning. And yeah, relationships. I've had all of y'all's managers.
Yeah.
Which has been the ironic part.
Absolutely.
Like, and as much as possible, that's also been the thing of like being in a
Trading
show,
representation.
sharing representation.
Yeah.
Meeting someone and being like, oh, you literally should be working more. Why aren't you? And they're like, oh, I'm not represented. Cool. Let me share. Let's see if they're interested.
You know, for girls that ain't grow up with sisters, y'all know how to share. Y'all know how to hold down. Y'all know how to show up.
That makes me feel so good as an only child to hear that.
For sure. Like, things only got, like, different when I feel like our lives kind of just shifted in different ways of, like, different priorities, relationships progressing, especially like, children. And
Marriage,
it's like, oh,
too.
wow. Like, a lot of what the convenience of the friendship was what allowed us to share space together. Of like, oh, like, we don't got nothing to do Thursday, Friday. Let's go to the bar. Let's go do this. Let's hang out. Like this, we kind of had the same level of stakes.
Yep.
And like life was really just about, you know, going to auditions, booking jobs, making money, side hustles. Like
Staying
we
in New
all
York
worked
City.
at similar restaurants, and when they were hiring, like, okay, girl, come over here. Like they hiring here. Like I think everyone has worked with each other at a side job.
Absolutely,
They wouldn't
must
hire
be
me
done.
at one of your jobs, remember?
But we
I
tried.
hustled and auditioned, and
We
they were
tried.
like, not tough enough.
Yeah, I worked at the Standard. You got me into the Standard. Or maybe it was Khadijah, but at some
got
point
her
I got
there.
into the
It was
Standard.
me.
Exactly.
I'm
so
dead.
bypassed. No, we definitely all gave each other jobs. And also, I feel like everybody has a good phone voice for that fake reference. when they need to
Oh my
call you.
goodness!
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody, y'all know that, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Fake reference.
Any employer, what is the whole point of asking for references? Because
Girl, that's why
it's
they
going
know
to
that
be
shit matters.
the best
Yeah.
friend.
Yep.
Don't y'all know this? Y'all did this. Y'all in earnest calling these numbers, thinking you're gonna get a real.
Literally.
That's why with apartments, like now as a landlord, I don't even put that section to put down your references. Because guess what? I know who your references are.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because my references were always my friends.
Friends and family.
I was so trifling. I would put down my brother, and we got the same last name.
That's hilarious.
Oh, I
You know what I'm
totally
saying?
put down
you
my
would
dad.
literally put his last name.
The fuck, yeah. And guess what? Still got the apartments.
Yeah.
They know better. Like, this is gibberish.
Yeah.
Tomfoolery. I also think we experienced many iterations of the friendship because people's positions flopped and switched, and like
Yes.
which friend is what, you know? So there were like different times of like who was the working friend, you know, who was the serious friend, who was, you
Who was
know,
the
who was
partying
partying
friend?
you know? So I think there's also were times where it was like navigating these switches, getting to know these new people, and then when you have like time apart because you're going to live your life, whatever, you know, it's like a whole, oh, I know you, but I'm learning you're changing.
Yeah.
I'm learning new versions of you. So
Yes.
it's you know, it takes a minute. It's like, oh,
And we had distance. Y'all abandoned me. So that
I'm
happened.
weak. Oh, well, yeah.
And I
Yeah,
had to make
Chivonne
a
is
whole
serious
new
about
set
that.
of adult friends,
Absolutely.
and it was traumatic. No, I'm just kidding. It was fine.
Well, Crystal
I'm
left
over
your
it.
ass.
Don't
You
put
went
that on me.
to-
Put that
y'all
on
went to LA.
Because y'all left
And
first.
Crystal
Exactly.
went to
That's
Germany.
down.
we
And so
split in
therefore,
two.
everyone
No.
abandoned
It
me.
was
split it
y'all.
No, I don't
And
receive
then it was
that.
us.
Like, I never actually wanted to come to LA.
Right.
I was always terrified of LA. Because I know who I am. I'm a basic bitch. This is a dangerous place for a basic bitch. It
so?
is. Keeping
Yeah.
up with the Joneses?
Oh.
I always found LA to be very much that, and I was aware enough of how insecure I was in my 20s that I was like, that's a game I don't want to play.
That's real.
That's
real.
just
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to know what you're ready for.
and the
like,
values
yes.
here. Like being
Yes.
beautiful was so important. And it
Yes.
was like, do you want to know that I can speak? Do you want, like that was, it was so face value out here, or who do you know? It was so transactional. And that felt so gross.
Yeah.
It is.
It is
Yeah.
to the
It hurts.
It is.
Yeah.
But I also think too that's why our friendship has always been so strong, because we've never been about like external. Like I think you three are the like three most beautiful and talented women I know. But I often like forget your beauty and forget how talented you are, and then I watch you perform and I'm like, oh yeah, that's why everyone's intimidated. That's why people try to use them. Because it's like that you walk in with so much, but there's so much more there.
So that reminds me of things that I feel like people tell us a lot, which is like, we're pretty, but we don't lead with it. And I think that sometimes also has gotten in our way as comedians, because people are like, oh, but you pretty, so like you're not going to be the funny girl or whatever. But it's like, no, I think that's what makes us fucking dope. Like, bitch, I can do both. As we all know, one of our most iconic New York moments when we were outside of Webster Hall trying to go to the club.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
And we were in the back. It was cold. That was back when we were wearing heels in the cold. Outrageous.
Heels and a bodycon dress
Yes.
with no
Just-
damn
okay.
jacket.
Don't
And little-
get
no
cold.
jackets or
We,
little
no jackets, just freezing at
hoes
20
don't
years
get
old.
Hoes
Okay.
not.
And that line was so long, and that bouncer was at, long distance, but we used those theater pipes, and I screamed from down the way. I said, what about the pretty girls?
Though.
What about the pretty girls?
Yes.
It was what about the pretty girls, though?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It was a very
And he
important full
did
statement.
this. He went, you're right. Come on in.
Yeah, that
Literally.
shit was wild.
Sashayed
was
in.
still
And
wild to
so
me to
many
this
mad
day.
faces as we walk by
Everybody,
people.
we just walked right past them.
That shit is still wild.
That is where women thrive. Being crazy at the door.
Absolutely.
And the doorman, I don't know, they be eating that shit up all the time. Even to this day. They're like, girl, if you don't get your ass inside, I got cursed out the other day. Because I told you to get inside. With full arm out, pointing. Like, okay, sir. And when I was leaving, I was like, don't curse me out. I'm going home. Don't curse me out.
It's like, we can use it, but that is not my main. So I don't have to use it, okay? But I think another thing is, we talked about being girls, but I think it's a lot of that is what we have in common is our moms. Yeah. And like, my mom was my first best friend. Yep. Like, my mom, it's funny, other people say that they aren't the mom that's going to play with their kid all day, but my mom had a youthful fucking spirit. Like, she had the energy of a 5-year-old. At least it felt like to me. I was like, oh, you ready to play? Like, at all times. And so between her, my brother, like, it was just like, life was so fucking playful. And I was just like, moms are the best. And then, like, by proxy, women are the best. Because it was just like, seeing my mom with my grandma, seeing my mom with my aunt. I was like, I grew up in women's spaces of women sharing secrets and talking and whatever. So it was like, no, I did not have a sister, but I knew it was so cool what I was seeing. It was aspirational.
And as someone who has sisters, like, there's this built-in security of, like, if don't nobody fuck with me, I know who fucks with me.
Literally, if any one of us called, parent of children or not, if something's going down and you need me, I will be there. And I'm pretty sure that if I called these 3 women, yep, where are we burying the body? Cool.
And I think it's important to have those kinds of relationships.
See, that's what I'm saying.
In a space like this where relationships are very transactional, relationships are very fickle, relationships are while you're hot. And like, okay, but like, what about when I'm down? Like, who's going to show up? Who's going to be there? And I honestly don't know what my experience would be like in this town, or if I would have been here for as long as I've been here if I didn't have at least one rock of like, all right, well, this is the person who know me. This is the person who know my parents. That's special.
Yeah, I mean, because I was out here first. And even though, I had my man, having your man is one thing.
It's different.
But it's different. It's different. And it was really hard. Like, it was really...
I remember I got on a plane once because of how your voice sounded.
It was bad. It was like... I mean, it was just so lonely, and it was like trying to process so many new things with no like filters, no one to really like help or, even because friends too, tight friendships also kind of block certain shit, right? Because people know you and they know like what you could handle, and it's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna let her take this bullet because this will really hurt her, but this was not gonna mean shit to me. So come on, you could hit me, And when you don't have that, it's like you just taking in everything, and and then there was not like, a bunch of people, even just the small things of like helping, get a job and stuff. Like it wasn't. I did have one, and there were some useful things in there because I did learn to lean on other people, and I saw spaces where other people were trying to be there for me that I had not seen before. Shane, that man really did hold me down out here, like help me get my job.
It does feel different, like making friends in New York versus making friends
absolutely
in LA.
Well, the people are different.
And I think that just the level of intention required is different. Like in New York, y'all just be seeing each other at the same thing.
You can run into people on the subway and then hang out with them because you have an extra hour to spare, and so do they. That does not happen
in LA. You have to set a date, a time, put in a calendar, leave 30 minutes to 45 minutes to sometimes an hour early to get there on time.
Yeah, and there's not really a thing here of like, like in New York, you could be like, oh my God, I just did this audition. I just realized I'm down the street from your building. Like, what the fuck you doing? I'm popping up. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, let's come downstairs right now. Let's go do something.
Yes.
It's not really, first off, it'd be random if I just end up by you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's so easy to be lonely here. Yeah. You spend so much time alone. You're in your car alone. Everything is alone. Like, when you're not alone is where you had to put some energy into it. Like, I am going to see this person. I'm going to their house. Like, I don't run into nobody. Sometimes I feel crazy when I'm just like taking walks. like, because I live on a big street, take a walk, and I know someone who was like, yeah, I can't take walks no more because I live off of Sunset, and I was taking a walk, and a friend pulled over like, yo, you good? Like, you need something? You need something?
Nobody walks in LA.
Yes, I did that
That's
to
a
somebody
song.
who I went to Meisner with. I saw him walking, and I pulled over, and I was like, baby, what you doing? Let me give you a ride. He was like, no, I'm just gonna walk. And I contacted people we both knew, and I was like, hey, has anybody heard from? Is he okay? Because he was out walking.
I'm dead. I be
Walking in LA. Why is
that
the
such a
line
red
of being
flag?
crazy?
Yes. Oh my God. I remember taking walks down Ventura.
Crystal was a
Oh yeah. When I first got here,
walker.
absolutely. I mean, guys, when I broke up with my man the month I arrived in LA, I walked from that tequila to Ralph's.
You did.
And I went to
then
go
we
get that
drove,
eyeliner.
drove to the Ralphs.
Yes.
And then we
To-
sat
and
outside of
found me.
CVS.
But
on
walking
that
is
phone.
real.
Like,
Cheers.
walking is,
Walking is normal.
but not here. Or Chandra's gonna call your friends, and your
Literally.
mother, and
Are
ask
you okay? Are
what
you
the hell is
good?
going on?
Hey, I was terrified because LA is a place that can break you. Unfortunately,
Yes.
like I do feel like my early aughts here tested me in ways that I had never been tested before, because some things are superficial, but just the social currency was a lot for me, and it was beating me. It was. And so it's like, if I see somebody not looking right, I'm like, it's very feasible that LA is tearing you apart, and that guy did leave. I don't know if it was because of that, but he left the industry entirely. But he's done. He called it, but he didn't need to be walking like that. Okay, it's hot, so it's just but you just never know too. You never know when you see people. It's like very easy. You don't see somebody for 2 years. When you do run into them, you're like, how are things going? Oh, if Austin House motherfucker would be like really bad.
Yeah.
That's true.
Really, it's really bad out here.
I think also because of like us just getting older in general. Like
Yes.
if we moved here pretty quickly after graduation, it'd probably be a different experience. But like we have a longer runway than we did when we were in New York. We were way more green, and now we're coming to that point of like people are literally, they're like turning to drugs. Like
Yes.
people's
Dark
lives are shifting in
Yeah.
very drastic ways.
Yeah.
I mean, but our generation, we literally, right before we graduated, the housing market crashed, which literally affected how many movies were released a year. The shift from DVDs, like DVDs became obsolete, right? And that's how that affected our industry. And then we made it. We're in LA. We're together. We're happy. We're strong. And the pandemic fucking happened. And now we have a strike. I'm not that affected by it all. I just think we've had boom after boom after boom. It's a lot to go through all of that, let alone have life, because we all have family, we all have relationships, we all have like therapy that we do or do not attend, right? Like all of that also has to happen. And you also, with this career, it's so helpful to be self-absorbed. I find it's so helpful to be focused on yourself, focused on your craft, focused on going, that then when you open up and try to start living life, that can be a huge shift.
Yep.
You may have realized, oh, that is too much focus on a job title. It is not my being, my soul, who I am. I am more than this. But this industry, your agents, your managers, when you get to the publicist level, they will demand that this is all you are. I mean, there's so many people who have reached the pinnacle who are like, I'm out, especially moms. I've started to notice that a lot of women that I really respected at like baby 1, baby 2 were just like, and I'm out, because this is a weird balance.
But I think people would get to a certain age with this industry anyway and just check out for various things, right? Because it's so, okay, how do you look? You look forever young?
Ooh.
Or, now what are you going to have to do? The roles, dry up, whatever. It just becomes exhausting.
Or when is your type, like when do you arrive into your type too? Because I feel like you had that feedback in school, and it's on one level incredibly damaging, but it's so wild now to sit here next to you in our 30s and be like,
It was
of
right.
course
She was
she's
right.
flourishing. Of course.
She was right. She was right. I say it all the time. Vicky Hart was right. Okay, I couldn't
But it
handle it at the
sounded
time, but she
so
was right.
harsh when we were in school. It like near broke me, because I was like, this is one of the most talented people I know, and you're telling me she's got to wait?
Yeah.
What the fuck is my career going to look like?
But that's what it is. Youth offers you a certain level of optimism that age diminishes. It really does. Because you're like, your priorities start to shift. You want other things, and you just really want peace. You're like, the grind, I'm tired of it. That was
this
cute
soft life
in my
movement.
20s, but now I'm just like, I just want a house with some land and some quiet. And then you realize, oh, you can get that somewhere else. And that's how people pack that shit up, take the kids, take their dog, take their man, and be out of here. Because for what?
Yeah. It's just nice to be in community with people who entertainment is not their everything.
Yes.
Like that's the last thing we really talking about. And then when they talk to me about it, it's like more, it's fun because it's curious. So it's like, so what was like working with so-and-so like? So did you meet so-and-so? Oh my God, is so-and-so really gay? You know, because people always want to know if somebody gay. We have to stop that culture of trying to out people. It's very strange. Stop the shit. But it is.
Also,
really
it's
It's entertainment
spectrum.
to them.
Yeah.
And it's a
Yeah.
livelihood for us.
But you know, right. So it's like fun, and they'll sit for hours and be talking about shit that you don't even be thinking about, because when you're in entertainment, you're forever a child, so you don't even think about sanitation. You know, you don't even think about these things that are happening in the city, and it's like, oh shit. Is it ever sometimes hard for you guys to be in a friendship where some of your closest people are also doing the same thing that you're doing, like in the sense of it's not even like an intentional comparison factor, but it's like we're just in close proximity, and so it's like, oh, so that's where we're supposed to be now. Okay, got you. Or little things of like when you see like a bunch of auditions coming in, you know, for your friend, like to just be in such close proximity of it. Is that ever like a...
I think that's natural, yeah, of like, okay, like, why is my career not booming like someone else's is, or whatever it is. I mean, it's the comparison game, and it's nasty, and it happens, and like, you really shouldn't beat yourself up for it, because ultimately you do check yourself and go like, first and primarily, I'm happy for my friend, you know, and I would fuck with them regardless. Like, and that's the root of it. Of like, I would fuck with you regardless of anything.
In a shoebox. I'd have to get you out of that shoebox, obviously.
Right.
You must come live on my couch. But
Yes, of like, okay, so what is it that this person has that I don't have? But then it's just like, okay, you have it, you feel it, move on.
yeah. I definitely used to be audition clocking heavily. Like, just in terms of in numbers. I'm like, okay. So, you know, because when you text about the auditions, whatever, and I'm like, okay, so she had 4 this week. Okay. Well, wow, I'm only getting 1. And then, you know, you write the people and you're like, hey. So I just noticed that like a lot of people kind of my age seem to be getting, you know, 6, 7, because then you got to make it hyperbolic, 6, 7 auditions a week. And I just noticed that I'm not. What's happening here? So I definitely used to be counting like, okay. This is where, and it was like not even about like, I don't know, it's like not competitive in that way, but it just was really more of, I want to just be there. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if this is what's happening, this is what should be happening.
Well, because
for me.
when we first
we should all be
started,
having the same
we were
thing,
Having the same experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
I disagree.
Oh,
Go ahead, weigh in,
yes,
bitch.
please.
I'm gonna drop a bomb.
Absolutely.
I always felt very insecure about sharing when I booked with you guys when I first started booking.
That's fair because you was winning.
You was
We
the booking
losing.
queen.
Well, and when you said that question, did you compete? Like, not compete. I'm very competitive, but it's all in sports. It's all in, I don't know. It's in a different way for me. Art has been more so just like, I want to play with y'all. And like, I'm just so excited to play, and I want everybody to play. Like, I've never in my mind thought like, I won't share an audition because this person would take it from me. I'm way more like,
No,
if I
not
can't
that.
eat, you eat.
Yeah.
Right? And also, I was very lucky. Like, while I was busy crying my heart out because I was booking a commercial every year and not a TV show and not becoming, you know, the star of Hunger Games, which is what I thought I wanted, I'll still take it. I actually remember starting to feel like I couldn't share my wins. I think we were spoiled coming from NYU and thinking like, in 1 year tops, all of us super successful. Fuck this,
Yeah.
you know, slave number 1, hot girl
I would
number
also
2
call that
shit.
naive.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I
But
mean,
I could see that. I could see that. I do think it, you know, from personal experience, it is a little alienating when you're working at a higher level than the people you started this with.
Yeah.
Because the dream is always that we'll always be working at similar levels, you know, like, and the similar level is the highest level.
Yeah.
Like, we'll just always be doing, everybody be doing 32 million movies a year and doing whatever else
going to the Oscar party together because we've all been nominated. Like, that's where my brain is all the time.
You know, like, yes, I could very much. It is a little bit. It is. And it's like, it's not, I don't know how to really explain it, because it's not like there's like an active thing happening or like an active pushback, but there is just like, there's an energy that it like, it does feel, it feels like, alienating. I get it. I don't know how to describe it, but I do get it.
Because again, I don't say it to drop a bomb like I didn't feel safe. It was the first time I felt othered inside of something that was ours.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what's interesting about, for me, anyone I've gone to school with, anyone I've studied shit, someone I've worked on a job with once, seeing people go different places, it's fascinating how my circle continues to get smaller as I stay in this community, because the people that are around me, we always cheer for each other. Always. And in fact, now we're like, I'm going to put you in. I'm going to put you on. I'm going to do this. I like, it is to the best of our ability. If one is working, how can we all be working?
Yeah.
Like, so many times do I drop people's names behind their backs in a positive way, because it's like, well, yes, let's all get here.
Chivonne, I have a question for you. For the people, because I feel like they might want to know. So what made you decide to choose other priorities and shift in a different direction, where you primarily, obviously, acting, and taking a step back from the writing and the creating and all of that?
Honestly, I'm not good at failing, and I wasn't a good writer. And I think that is okay. What I took as failure, what I took personally, like notes, feedback, people are like, that's not funny, that's not good enough, I don't get it. That just hit me every single time. One of y'all, people I love, were telling me, oh, that's not working. I didn't hear, try again, we'll love the next version. I just heard, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. And I simply couldn't handle it. I was like, I'm already getting that. I'm internalizing every single no with an audition, with like getting to the final round of a pilot and testing and being like, oh my God, I've made it. And it's like, nope, more famous, more tall. Surprisingly, woman got it, right? Right. That happened once. Now it's shorter bitches, but it's fine. So that for me was just, I don't think I had that muscle that writers, I think, are excellent at, that collaboration is a lot of getting shot down and picking yourself back up again, especially in comedy. I didn't have that built in whatsoever. I've been traveling my whole life as a military brat. I've always been like, I'll be your best friend. I'll adjust and hide parts of my personality so that this goes smoothly, because I'm only here for 2 years. Why make waves? And then that evolution of my personality, when I started going, oh no, I'm this bitch. I am sensitive. This will rob me of friendships. And I chose, I know it didn't seem like that at the time in our 20s, but I was choosing our friendships because I was taking it too personally, that I was like, these girls don't really like me because sometimes my work is good, sometimes it's bad. I must not be good enough, because the household I was raised in, you're either all the way good, you are perfect, you are excellent, you are the most excellent Black person in the room, or you are nothing. Thusly, why I was hustling and trying to prove to myself and my family that the huge sacrifice that my dad made in like going back to war so that we could afford college was worth it.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. With working with friends, a thing that can be definitely very difficult in the beginning is like, you work with each other on school projects or whatever, I guess, from time to time, but it's a very different energy where usually all the feedback you get from these people is just good.
Yes.
Right? Like, it's only good. Like, very rarely is it a, hey, you were wrong. And even in the end, you were wrong, it was like, okay, in front of everybody, you was right. But come here, let me talk to you real quick. That was fucked up what you did. But I was still fucking with you, but that was a little wrong. Like, it's always yes, yes, yes. And then to be in a setting where it's not intentional to attack you, but just the language itself is changing. It's not you're always right. It's like, oh no, you're wrong right here. Like it's an adjustment.
Yeah.
Also,
Especially
the process of making art isn't really even right or wrong. It's just like we're just growing seeds, and we just gotta see what works. It's all information. It's like let's see what's gonna grow over here. Let's see what's gonna go over here. Oh, that rotted. Okay, let's let that one go.
Yeah.
Let's keep growing. Like the process is forward. Always. it's always about not where we're at, but what we're building and what the dream is. And it's like keeping that mindset and keeping that perspective. It's like this is just the in between for the end goal, like, which is that's easier said than done. And also, we can admit, we talked about this before, we didn't have language for that at that time when we first started. We were a little bit more shutting things down, a little bit strong with that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And we had to learn
how to
Yeah. And I know that, at least for myself, I do remember at some points, saying to, y'all, like, look, if this shit ever gets too contentious, I'm choosing the friendship. Like, if it ever gets like where this, because sometimes people, a lot of times people do lose friendships working with their friends. What I'm saying? Like, that's why I tell you that shit in business don't make, like, it's hard for a reason, Yeah. And so, like, I definitely remember having that conversation of, like, I know that the friendship is my priority, and so if it ever gets too fucking stank, and I still stand on that. If next year it's like, oh man, this is too rocky right here, this sound, then the work, I'll find another way to work, but I'm not gonna find another friendship.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I'll find another way.
Well, because it's also, as I joke all the time, like, y'all are not my friends. You are my sisters. Like, the relationship dynamic is just, it's hilarious because
that's true.
Especially to a lot of people have asked me since the podcast came out. They're like, how come you don't write? And I'm like, they're like, did something happen? And I'm like, no, like nothing. Like, there's actually, unless unbeknownst to me, there's no bad blood. It's just
beef.
Well, it would be with you. But no, it's just one of those things of, like, I also think these are my sisters and these are their strengths. This is what y'all led with. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like, y'all are resilient motherfuckers. And you and like motherfuckers. You are amazing to improv with. I like to love and be loved on. That's why I like teaching. I like to build up. I have such a hard time, and I had such a bad time in the first few years of my teaching of imitating tear down techniques that I was taught. Like, that also, I had to go through that healing process. And I'm because, like, I think I'm already a direct asshole Aries, so I had to learn how to, like, preface, soften, smooth out, because in my mind I was like, but I'm just going for, like, I just want you to win. How do I get you to win? And I've had to learn that I want to be hugged to win, so I'm a hug a motherfucker to win. Like, and that's how I coach.
When you coach, like, you're so
gentle.
There's no asshole.
It's
like it's
so
very
lovely.
direct. It's like always really clear. Like, and it's a good thing, because when you tape with Chivonne, like, you always know that wasn't the one, we're gonna do it again.
Do it again.
But it's
like
always very clear. And it's always very clear why we're doing it again.
Speaking of,
it's huggy, and then it's like, go.
You have a studio.
I do.
So what's the deal with that?
So I have been teaching since I was 20 years old, because I started interning at the Atlantic Acting School, where I studied. And I've taught every age there, from literally 4 years old all the way to a 65-year-old student. And when I moved out to LA, I did coaching a little bit, but it was just something that I would, like, offer to my friends, offer to friends of friends. Like, yeah, I've got this background and pedigree, happy to help. And then something clicked, I think, because I was really fortunate when I moved out to LA and I started earning enough money for acting to be my full-time, only necessary job. And I realized how much love I had for coaching and for teaching, and also the community aspect. I love the community of an acting studio, of just, like, you're talking to somebody and they're like, oh, this hairstylist is dope, and you can get, like, go see them and tell them I sent you, and it's, like, half off. Or, like, someone's like, did you audition for this thing? I did. Did you hear it got canceled? What? No, I was so close. Like, just that kind of
community,
like, positive community, like, petty patio moments, but also just, like, someone can be on their phone and go, and everyone's like, what happened? What'd you do? And they're like, I booked the job. And then the whole room just goes, yes!
Working actor camaraderie. Like, what are we doing?
Yes. And so basically, long story short, especially after I had my kid, I just realized that I wanted that community. I haven't been able to find it in LA, especially in the Valley. So I started Sustainable Artist Studio, and I'm offering private coaching, one-on-one, kids and adults. And I'm really excited because I'm just launching some co-teaching classes. So I'm going to teach a class called How to Actually Book a Commercial with my good friend who's a commercial actress, Letitia. And she also models, so it'll be really fun to have two of us kind of discussing all the different ways that we've been successful and how we can share. And then I'm teaching how to book multicams with Devere. because he is the king of comedy. And so basically that's what I want my studio to be, like an extension of, oh yeah, I have a BFA, but I didn't learn how to do this very specific thing like book the job, or I wanted a BFA, but no one was willing to pay $250,000 to NYU for this bullshit. No problem. I got you. Come to the intro class. I will give you as many tools as possible as I can share. Because like one of my favorite things is like, I've had so many students who years later, like one of my students in an evening class, he's become a whole ass, beautiful, talented playwright. And I've been able to produce and direct his work.
Kansu?
Yeah. And recently, another one of my students I've only met virtually, they're based in Canada, they wrote a short and they offered me the lead role because they just were like, we vibe and I trust you. And I just think it's so beautiful because those are selfish examples of me being involved, but I've also had moments of like, I've been in an acting class with someone and then a rehearsal group, and years later I was able to cast that person and connect them with someone. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I love that part of the industry. I love that level of collaborating, of being like, you should mix with this person. This person should mix with that person. We should all get together so that we can all do shit that is fun.
And let me just, just a little bit. I want to tell a little story about Chivonne and her generosity when it comes to this work. Okay, because I think you guys should know this. Do you remember when you and I were both going out for A Gifted Man, the TV show?
Yeah.
Now, Chivonne had already been on 2 callbacks for this. And then, 3. But no, this was, but then I had got called in. And, she had like a small moment of, damn, like they still calling people in for this? So we were at the place the same day to audition and at casting. And
it was your first audition. It was my second callback, right? Yeah, we were in 2 different stages. Yep.
But Chivonne, obviously she wanted this. She done gone through. She's so close to it. I'm just starting. She took me out of that room and coached me before the audition. For the audition she was about to go into her second callback for. And I was like, yo, this is a fucking real one. And was not like, not giving me the real,
No, I wanted you to have all the tricks.
This is how I'm going to do it. I think this will be the best way to you to do it because you have this thing that's going to work really well here. And don't, make sure you hit this line because this is, because she's very, very good at scene study too. She really understands the script and like what parts of it are important, which is not my strength. And, and was like, this is the whole crux of the scene is in this one sentence. So you got to hit this part. This is where you'll book it. Oh. And isn't that beautiful? So go take her classes because she's fucking generous. She's going to give you everything she has. But I never did. You see?
There you go.
Wow.
And with that, we will transition to Bootleg Fabulous, segment where we like to give tips and tricks on how to make it on a shoestring budget. I want to ask, what are your tips to maintaining a good relationship? I'm big on, everything is a fucking relationship. If you engage with somebody multiple times, that is a relationship. From your grocer to your man to your mom. Those are relationships.
Yeah.
So, for me, it would be pick your battles. For a long time, I really was headstrong about being right. So it's do you want to be right or do you want to be in this relationship? And I want to be in this relationship.
I would say in your relationships as they grow, change, and evolve, everyone gets busier. Be strong with the vibe check. And what I mean by that is state your vibe check proactively. Communicate where you're at as you change. Communicate what you need. Say, hey, y'all, this is the season I'm at, and I might not be around for a little while, but say it so everyone is clear.
Yeah.
And mine is piggyback, but also opposite. Because mine has to do with my own strength, which is, I have a pretty high emotional intelligence. That's my God-given gift. And so sometimes pushing past the words, because if I feel like a friend has something going on, sometimes I'll needle past no, it's cool. Okay, we'll circle back. Because I don't think so. I think something's wrong with you. And so we're gonna carry this on until you say something to me.
Yeah. I mean, mine is in line with what you're saying. I think it's stay vulnerable with the people who deserve it.
That's nice.
I think vulnerability that's how you navigate the change of a human being, right? staying vulnerable, because then I'm connected to you, because you're sharing something with me that you can't share with anybody else. It's not money, it's not kids, it's not sex, it's not a job. Vulnerability is like the most important transaction.
Beautiful. And with that, I am Amebit. You can find me at AmebitBayene.
I'm Crystal. You can find me at _Chris.
I'm Chandra. You can find me at Chani.
I'm Chivonne. You can find me at happy_CHIV, Happy Shiv, or at Sustainable Artist Studio.
We are Unglamorous Truths. You can find us at Unglamorous Truths on all platforms. You can stream our podcast where you find yours.
Hey.